Welcome back to another episode of the Racing Life Podcast. I'm Casey Campbell. Thank you so much for joining us. We're pleased to welcome in Jack Wood. Of course, he's been a very busy person this year. Currently drives the number 24 truck for GMS Racing. Hey, Jack, how are you, bud?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. So I know you. I know your life has been racing growing up in California on the West Coast. Where did this kind of did it start when you were 5 years old, just running go-karts and stuff?
Yeah, for me it was pretty young. Like you said, I started when I was five racing go-karts. It was never really something that I honestly something. No, it was never something that I actually loved. Like I was kind of like a hobby that I did for fun, and I kind of stepped away from like racing when I was probably, I don't know, 10 or so, and then started playing like baseball, soccer, all the other sports like that. And I was not good at any of them. So I kind of took another shot at racing. And, that's when I started getting into legend cars, and I was probably 14. And then just from ever since I was about 14, just kind of kept taking steps up the ladder from, late models to trucks and ARCA cars as well. So it's been a long journey for me, but it's been awesome so far.
So when did you come back to racing after you took some time off?
I probably came back when I was like 14. And quite honestly, racing for me was never, I don't want to say it wasn't serious, but it was never really a big focus in my life until I was probably 16 when I got into late models.
Yeah.
Really up until then, it was really just a hobby of something fun that I got to do, and something that my dad was allowing me to do. So, then especially now, like moving out to North Carolina, I came out here in November of 2020, and really ever since then, it's been the focus of everything I'm doing during my day. So
Yeah. So I know that were you in school at the time, and how did you manage all that from because we all see when you're like 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, you're trying to go through high school. There's always things that get in the way of racing where you miss a lot of days of school, especially if you're in person or even online or something like that. How'd you manage all that?
yeah, it was tough. Especially like when I was running late models, we were doing a lot of races and our schedules were pretty busy. So being in high school in California was, I don't want to say it was tough, but I mean, I spent a lot of time away from school. So had to be pretty diligent with doing homework and stuff like that, which I was not good at doing in the first place. So it made it more difficult, but yeah, I mean, it's always kind of a balance of taking care of your other responsibilities and following your dream at the same time. But, like I said earlier, coming out to North Carolina now and having this be my main focus has been, really beneficiary towards me and my career to really focus 100% on racing and give this a legitimate shot.
So when did you said you ran late models at 16. How long did you do that for, and what are some of your best memories of that?
Yeah, I started racing late models when I was 16, and I raced them up until, I mean, I still race late models today, but really focusing on kind of the short track late model stuff from probably 16 to 18. Um, I think probably one of the best memories that I have was just kind of like the camaraderie with the guys. You race with these guys that they have day jobs like everybody else, and they have the love and compassion for racing like most of us do. And there's one night we were racing at, I think, Shasta, which is up in like Northern California, and we blew a motor. And it was a Friday night practice, and it was like 5 hours back to our shop from the racetrack. And that Friday night, everyone got in the hauler. We drove 5 hours back home, changed the motor till 3 o'clock in the morning, and headed back to the racetrack and made first practice. So it's really cool being around guys that love the sport, that much and have that much dedication. And I think if I look back at my late model racing career, that was probably one of my best memories, is just how hard those guys work and how bad they want it.
Yeah, and of course you still run late models. So, I mean, at times, because I mean, it doesn't everybody. It's just like something that you can run and all that stuff. And of course, GMS of course has one of those late model programs, and of course I think Landon Huffman's running right now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You got guys running late models from Derek Ford on the West Coast to Chase Light at the Snowball Derby. So it's kind of, it's one of those series and one of those cars where you never really leave it. You always come back to them. They're really really fun cars to drive, and really some of the best short track racers in the country are racing late models. So,
Yeah, of course. So when you made the transition to when you were fully focused on late models, I know that being out in California, I know you've been in the west side of things, like the ARCA West series. You ran for the Velocity Racing, which is of course your family-owned team.
yep.
When did you feel like you wanted to make that next step into the ARCA Art Series West, or at the
Yep.
time K&N West?
You're saying like when did I want to change from running super late or running late models to ARCA?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so we were, I think all of our stuff was out of our own shop. So, me running with GMS now, this is my first year being with like I'd say a quote unquote like real team.
Mhm.
So we didn't have like the best equipment, I wouldn't say, but also wasn't the worst stuff. But we were just progressively getting better, and and I was really starting to get into it. And I think everybody saw progress, and I think that's kind of when we knew, hey, let's take a shot at the next step here and see what we can do in the ARCA series. And the ARCA stuff is hard, especially with like family run teams. Even out on the West Coast, I mean, you have BMR and Sunrise Ford that have pretty well built programs out there with a lot of good knowledge and a lot of smart people. So it's tough to compete. But it was just another step in the progress or in the process, I guess, to get to where I am today. So
Yeah. Before we get to like, when you went to GMS, at some point before you met Ryan Reed at that
yep,
point, of course, as we know, of course, Ryan Reed competed in the Xfinity Series. And of course, he is also your manager.
yep.
So he's kind of, when did you first meet Ryan and kind of go through what he's kind of done with you?
Yeah, so it's kind of a cool backstory. So my crew chief on the West Coast was Ty Joyner. And so his brother's Junior Joyner, who's Matt Crafton's crew chief in the truck series. Um, so Brandon McReynolds, who's now my roommate, when he was driving for Bill McAnally, Ty Joyner was his crew chief. And we were kind of looking for somebody to be like a driver coach and spotter, kind of driver mentor for me, like last year, beginning of last year. And Brandon got us hooked up with Ryan Reed. So kind of ever since like January of last year, he's been really focused on my program. And last year we were on the West Coast. He was doing like I said, a lot of driver coaching, spotting, stuff like that. Now that I've come out here and have some more resources to pull from in that area, now he's really focused on a managing, kind of the managerial department. But yeah, it's been great. Ryan's been a huge help to me and really opened up a lot of doors. So I'm sure, as you know, that guy has a lot of connections in the racing world out here and has been a really great resource for me to pull from.
So I think a lot of people were, I wasn't saying that a lot of people were kind of surprised when it was announced that you were going to be driving. First off, you were going to drive when you were getting into the GMS program. I know that, talking with Mike and Maury Gallagher and everybody at GMS, what really kind of intrigued you to say, okay, let's do this. This is like this is the step in my career that I've been waiting for. Is that kind of what it meant at the time?
Yeah, I think coming in for anybody, but I mean specifically for me, someone who's a young racer who's really green and honestly doesn't have a lot of experience. I think coming into a program like this is huge. And I don't know how much you know about like the driver's edge development program that Chevrolet
I know a
has.
lot. Yeah, of course, Chevrolet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's huge resources there to pull from, and especially for someone like me who doesn't have a ton of seat time to be involved in and be a part of an environment where you're working side by side with really some of the best, really I think some of the best drivers in the country. It is great for me to just be able to pull from those resources. So I knew GMS was going to be a good fit for us, and as you know, their ARCA program was really strong last year, and then of course their trucks are some of the top in the truck series. So
Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute, but you talk about Chevy Driver's Edge Development Program. I know a lot about that from knowing the people involved in that. Of course, I know a lot of drivers in that program. Have worked with Lauren, and kind of going through that. I know that you also get Josh Wise and Scott Speed. I know you guys were all out on a bike ride together, the Tour D Davidson, as I like to call it, or as it's called. It's like, okay, so how far, like being a part of that, working out with it, how far have you guys like gone? Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, so we do a lot of different stuff. Like we do a lot of running, like a lot of
yeah,
like mobility workouts, like balancing and just working out like different muscles in your body for when you're in the race car, you're ready to go.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, a lot of bike riding too. It's it's fun, and when you're riding with, I mean, I don't even know. The ride that we did last week was like probably 10 of us, and it's like an insanely competitive bike ride. I mean, when we're doing different stages and guys we're trying to do hill climbs and stuff, and everybody's insanely competitive. But it's been really good, and it's fun for me too to kind of, for the first time in my life, really explore kind of like the working out side of things. And there's just such a huge benefit when you strap into the race car, that you're more mentally sharp and more physically fit. And you just kind of know that you're checking all the boxes, during off weeks or from Monday to Thursday. So that way, when you get in the truck Friday night or the ARCA car Saturday, you're ready to go.
yeah, of course. Just don't fall off your bike. I did that one time. So
Oh,
those are intense rides. And of course, anybody that knows Josh Wise, it's going to be interesting for sure.
yeah,
So going into the season, you were originally supposed to do ARCA East and
yeah,
the showdown races, but then you're 21, so that
yeah,
means you could compete at really every track.
yeah.
You kind of had a good start to the ARCA portion of the season. Before we get to the next part, kind of go through, like, what was it like to run in that series and run ARCA, knowing that and you guys were really coming up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we were getting better. As like Marty Lindley left and went to KBM at the end of last season before our first race at New Smyrna. And Chad Bryant came over and took over that program for us. So, I think we were kind of off to a slow start just because you're really building out a whole new ARCA program. But we had struggled at New Smyrna, had a pretty good run at Daytona. And then, Phoenix was Phoenix, but I think, we were getting better, and we still are getting better. And, it's a lot of fun to work with those guys. And the ARCA series is a pretty good series too. So a lot of strong teams, and also a lot of young drivers too, that are in the same shoes that I am and just trying to learn. So it's a great series to be a part of, to be able to do that and not be under a super high pressure environment, if you're running one of the top 3 series. But the ARCA series is definitely a great developmental series for people that are kind of doing the same thing that I'm trying to do.
Okay, so during that part in there, of course, you were going, then it was, how did the truck conversation kind of get started? Was it like, because your first race was Coda, a track that no one's been to. What was that conversation like? Did someone say to you, "Hey, I want you to come run trucks. I want you to maybe try this out because of everything that went on with everything that went on with Rafi, and now it kind of is like, okay, maybe just kind of coming in." Were you nervous at all, or did they ask you to, like, "Hey, want to come run a truck"?
Yeah, I think I'm not exactly sure why it happened, but I know that there was issues with Raphael, and the 24 truck was going to be opened up, and we were able to, we were in Kansas in the ARCA car. That was my first 1.5 mile race, and I think that went really well for us. So I think that showed to a lot of people here that there's a lot of room for growth, but there was also a good baseline to build off of, and I think that gave them some confidence to put me in the truck. And I don't really think I was too nervous. I mean, honestly, it was pretty crazy for me to think that I was going to be driving a truck for a team like GMS and a manufacturer like Chevy. So it was a really, really cool experience for me, and to kind of be able to go through that and just have so many awesome things, and things are happening in my life. I'm extremely, extremely grateful to be doing what I'm doing. And there's just such really, really great people here at GMS, from crew chiefs to engineers to car chiefs to the guys in the fab shop to the people upstairs in the offices. This is a really great team, and a great company to be a part of. And I'm just the lucky guy that gets to drive them.
So, and then of course, it was announced that you'd be running the full season for the truck series, except for when Doug Covey will step in there. but did you think that how do you think you're doing? Did you think that, hey, I'm running the truck series? How do you think you're doing in handling all that running in that series?
Yeah, I think we're doing good. I mean, with Coda going the way it did, which was not a good race for us, and then Knoxville was a struggle as well. But I think the tracks where I have an idea of what I need to be doing, the stuff that isn't new to me, I think we're doing a pretty solid job. Like I think Nashville, when we qualified on the front row, I think that was a good day for us, and then running in the top five most of the race. So I think there's a lot of speed that we have, and I think that's really the biggest thing you got to find. And then we're just going to kind of fine tune on the restarts and the racing and learning how to side draft guys and getting clean air on the nose, and then I'm doing things outside of the truck series to get ready for the dirt races and the road course races, and just trying to build out my driver profile to kind of fit what the truck series schedule is turning into, just to make sure that I'm morphing into the right type of driver for what the schedule is going to end up being here in the next couple of years.
All right. So of course of course also, if we've seen you around the track, you have these on. Of course you wear glasses and contacts and stuff. How does that, do you wear these when you're in the car and stuff? Does that help, or like,
Yeah.
how does that work? Because we've seen a lot of drivers doing them. We saw Logano, and I think Harvick did it yesterday.
Yeah. So I think I had glasses when I was younger, and then I kind of never wore them and never realized that my eyes were bad. And then like 2 years ago, I went to the eye doctor, and I think her exact words were, "I don't know how you got your driver's license without wearing glasses." But yeah, I wear the glasses in the car, and it's a huge help for me. My eyesight is pretty bad, so I need the glasses in the car to see where I'm going, and it helps a lot with finding the right lines in the racetrack and seeing different grooves and stuff. So it's a huge help for me. And I think you see like even someone's eyes who aren't like terribly bad, like Logano, he's wearing glasses now too. And it just kind of shows you like you got to do everything you can for that way when you put on your helmet that you have no excuses to make for why you didn't perform. And whether that's working out or even something as simple as getting a pair of glasses that help you try to get as close as you can to that 20/20 vision.
And just so for the video version of this, kind of show them off a little bit.
Yeah, they're just regular old Oakley Holbrooks. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it's that brand, but it's
Yeah.
here. But yeah, I mean, I've been wearing them for about a year, and I can see it's like it was tough with like I because like when I went in stores when when the whole mask mandate was going on, literally I had to pull them over like this, and because I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with this. So
Bad, especially on like planes and stuff. You have to wear the mask the whole time. Your glasses fog up like crazy. It's definitely not fun.
I just take them off. It's not a big deal. I mean, I can still see, but it's just not as good and stuff. But so and for that. But I know that adjusting to North Carolina life and all that. Did you ever think that you'd be doing all of this stuff? Do you think you'd be running trucks before the season when it was announced you were just going to be in the ARCA program, and now you're running trucks here in July?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that all of this could happen this year?
No, it's been insane. I think for me running the ARCA car alone, I mean, moving out here alone was awesome, and then driving the ARCA car and racing was even cooler. But like I said before, getting the opportunity to drive the truck was pretty crazy. And I always tell, when I call my dad every day, I always tell him like, dude, I have to pinch myself like at least every 30 minutes just to keep realizing that this is all happening. And it's the coolest thing ever. This is something that I have always wanted to do, really, and always had a passion for racing, since I was probably 15. And it's an incredible opportunity. And, like I said before, to be a part of an organization like this and doing something at this level, I mean, I'm not just driving a truck for, anybody. I'm driving a truck for, honestly, probably the top truck series team. And I think one of the best manufacturers. So it's been insane how things have happened and, the path that my life has taken over the last, 8 months. But all this can go away, in a blink of an eye. So you just got to take advantage of every single second and really take it all in. So this is pretty crazy lifestyle that we live, and definitely an amazing opportunity that I've been gifted. So.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because it's like I never thought like racing driver, but as I've been doing this for so long, you get to learn like what actually drivers actually go through and stuff. And now I like know like how things are happening and stuff. It's like, yeah, make the move out to North Carolina. It's a big time move. Several drivers did it this year. So it's like it's like time to chase a dream in NASCAR, move out to North Carolina, and then all of a sudden you're in the truck series. So it's definitely good to see. And last thing, any plans for the next 2 weeks?
Not really. I was racing a Trans Am car up in Minnesota.
Yeah, I saw that. How'd that go?
That was good. Those things are a ton of fun to drive. We were racing with Scott Lagacy with his Chevrolets, and those things are, I think for me, like I was talking, like doing other auxiliary programs to get better at dirt racing and road course racing. That's one of them that I've been doing. And it's just been a great tool for me to really try to hone in the craft of road course racing, just because it's so different than running a mile and a half or a short track. So, it's a lot of fun to do things outside the truck series and go try and do different things with different cars and different racetracks that, we won't go to in the truck series. But yeah, I mean, it's just another great opportunity for me to get better at what I'm trying to do and just kind of do that little extra step to try to be better than the next guy.
Yeah, of course. A lot of Chevy guys have gone through that SLR program. Of course, Sam Mayer won, raced a few races this year in with that team. Of course, he won at Road America a few weeks ago. So we're seeing that a lot as well. And then, all right. Well, Jack Wood, thank you so much for telling us your story. Of course, Watkins Glen coming up for you in about a few weeks. Enjoy a little bit of off time you got.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And probably 5 million bike rides you're probably going to go on between now and then.
Yeah, I got to stay in shape. So.
Yes, sir. All right. Good to talk to you, buddy.
All right, thank you.